Wesley Lowell, diplomat,
Yes.
the government of Malta.
Yes.
Wesley, it's great to meet you. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I'm great, Frank. I'm great, and thank you for inviting me here. I mean, we're in Austin. It's buzzing here, and everything's happening with sort of the blockchain space.
Yep.
Everybody who's been in the space is like totally excited right now because we know we're at the beginning of the next era, at least when it comes down to price discovery. No, it's great to see some new innovation happening here, and lots of people just coming up with things that surprise you in good ways.
Yeah.
And sometimes in bad ways.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So tell me about what you're working on right now.
Okay, so I'm working on a ton of different things. So like I myself, I own 17 different businesses, and I've always sort of found something to work on because I just like solving problems. It's just like a big math problem, but in different areas. And right now, I think my biggest project I'm working on is a gamified live stream widget. So a couple of years ago, I built a company called Quizando. It was a skill game platform, and the idea was anybody could host their own game show, right? So just like YouTube, where anybody could host their own videos, we said let's have the influencers and KOLs and people and brands be able to host their own game show on my platform, which was great and doing well. But I just thought, do we want to send people to another platform to register to another space? And then last year, I was at a gambling conference actually, and I was listening to their problems of retention and keeping people on the platform, and I started thinking about Vegas, and it's like, how do they keep people there? Through entertainment. And it's like, wait, what if I can do what we do on our platform on everybody else's, and we just provide like this service tool? So yeah, we built that out in the last year, and now we're just like building partnerships with a lot of people, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, we will be launching a token later this year, but it's the model I work on, which is first build the business, then introduce the token, and that brings people into Web3 without knowing they're into Web3.
Yeah.
It's like, surprise.
So tell me more about that, because I think that it's lost on some folks that you see an opportunity, especially someone as entrepreneurs like you. But you're outcome driven, that you're trying to solve something, you're trying to create something that's really, really special. But you've decided to use Web3 technologies as part of that.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind that and the advantage?
Okay, so first, when I looked at blockchain, for me initially was just a fundraise mechanism. I'm based in Malta, little island in the middle of the Mediterranean. We don't have any VCs. We have people with a lot of money, but they spend their money in building buildings and hotels and things like that, and so they don't understand this space. And when I was going to build this company, Quizando, I looked at it just as a fundraising mechanism. That's it. But then but as I get into something, I sort of start studying it, and I just understood the power of blockchain, which was like this completely open database, which everybody can see all the transactions. It allows the transparency, it allows the truth, and that is something great. And in a place like, for example, YouTube, like you get X amount of views and you get a check at the end of the day, but you don't know how many views you've actually had because you're just relying on Google to be telling the truth. And you don't know if you should be paid what you should be paid and how much they're receiving in advertising money. And you really don't see that split. You just hope everything's true. And I was like, wow, this can like change the game for anybody who's a creator out there, anybody who's dealing in business, because we can see everything and we can see if we're being like shafted in the pie. So I love the technology. And then I said, okay, how can we start implementing this in different ways? In my case, it was just sort of value chain between the various different stakeholders, advertisers, users, the influencer in our platform, so everybody could see that. But then I just started thinking about other things. Like before we were chatting on camera, you were mentioning you were in the biotech space. And one project that is still in its early days is a prescription system using NFTs. We've been looking at this because you go from country to country, from place to place. You have a doctor who signs a certificate in Malta, but you go to Germany and you need to fill that prescription. How can they verify that's true? Right. And it was just like, how about we use just a basic NFT concept whereby it's expirable. You can tell how many times you filled it, and you can also find the relevant medicines in the different countries that are, you may have prescribed XYZ brand, but they don't have that there. And what's the replacement for it? So you need less knowledge, more truth, and you stop this whole thing of over prescriptions. You stop people, I mean, getting into bad situations on drugs, and everybody's happy because then you see the whole trail of what's happening without having to tell someone this is their problem, and having to go to another doctor and go through a whole thing. And so
Right.
it's just problem solving based on truth.
That's so interesting. And to your point about the problem solving, folks want an outcome where they have access to information. And certainly in healthcare, there's a lot of disparate information. And this is a real opportunity. So when you talk to other folks in the space or who are thinking about investing in the space or developing the space, what advice do you have for them on how to talk about the benefits of what they're building and not get overly obsessed in explaining to, let's say, a lay consumer all of the beautiful detail behind the technology?
Well, this is something which has happened time the world over. We get lost in buzzwords, right? So we get lost in saying NFT, metaverse, right now AI, and yeah, these are all useful things. But I mean, Spotify's been using AI for their algorithms for the last 5 years, and that's not what's been at the forefront.
Right.
It's, no, we're going to give you the music you want to hear based on your tastes, and based on your behaviors. And that's, the key line is, you're going to get the music you want to hear.
Yeah.
And we should always sell the benefits of how it's going to change someone's life. And that is the key driver to the user. To the business person, it's a little bit different. Sometimes the technology does help a little bit. But it's what is the ultimate outcome? To the investor, like, I mean, you talk about Web3 technology and you're investing in tokens, it's instant access to liquidity. I mean, rather, like I work with a number of VCs, and the VCs, especially coming from the Web2 space, are seeing this as, wait, I don't have to have my money locked up for 5 years till hopefully we raise the next round and then I take something out at that point. Wow, that's amazing. And that's the sort of value that you're seeing to them. It's just another way to move money again between parties. But if you need to get out a little bit earlier, or let's just say worst case scenario, a project's failing, and the token price is going down, you can at least get rid of some of your risk at that point and say, okay, I'm selling at this point. Thank you very much. You guys have been great, and I'm out. So there's different value propositions without talking about the technology.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, and that's what a lot of creators miss, because they're usually technologists first, or they hear the technology and they think the technology is what's going to be driving it, but it's how it changes human behavior and what it does to us.
That's great. So rapid fire.
Okay.
3 final questions.
Okay.
The first is, what are you most excited about right now?
Most excited about right now, RWA, real world assets, is one area I'm excited about. Like, I hate the banking system. I can openly say it. They create a nightmare for you with loans and all this sort of thing. They'll come up with weird rules just before the day you sign the contract, and you have to abide by them or you don't get the money.
Right.
And like, going on chain with real world assets like houses is going to be very helpful to the next generation, especially with housing costs going through the roof, not being able to afford a place. I mean, here in Texas, maybe it's a little bit cheaper, but if you go to most of Europe and again, most of the States, most people say they will never own their first home. But if they can start at least buying bits of the places that they're living in and gain some equity from that, at least that's something great. So that I'm super excited about. What's the next question?
Next question is, what advice do you have to other innovators in this space right now, considering the climate, considering what we need to drive Web3 adoption?
Okay. One, never, ever, when you're building something, don't come at it because we're the best. You know what? There might be 20 better than you. There might be 20 worse than you. I want to know why you as an individual are going to be solving this problem, why you have the expertise to solve this problem, and why you have the passion to solve this problem. That is, to any innovator out there, and especially people who are looking for money, investors want to know if they can trust you. If the idea is only 5%, the execution is 95%, and knowing these things, knowing how you're going to solve the problem, why you're going to solve the problem, and why your version is a great way to solve the problem, is the most important thing. And yeah, that's key.
Love it. Love the advice. The last question, of course, is, where do we follow you?
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. All my handles are all the same everywhere. It's at Surwess, Sir Wes. I don't know why I got that handle, but I decided just to keep it across everything. Yeah, you can see me there, and if you look up Wesley Alul on the internet, there's only one of me. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be sure to link those for sure.
Oh, fantastic.
But it's great. I know I'm following you.
Frank,
so, Wesley,
thank you so
thank
much.
You. Appreciate it.